Previously on Indievelopment.
Package in sight.
Wow, so it's a real.
This is the real deal.
This is the artwork there.
This is finished.
Sweet.
It's a really bad idea.
I don't like the aesthetic idea of it, but it solves an incredible amount of problems.
It solves an incredible amount of problems. It creates an incredible amount of more problems.
What in the Philly is this?
Let me give you a quick update what's going on right now. We are about 5 weeks before our demo deadline, and we just started discussing or placing bets how many cans of Monster we will have accumulated by then.
Okay, so I'm guessing 70 cans of Monster and an average gain of 10 pounds per person. Altai doesn't believe that number. He thinks we're going to lose weight.
Okay, Alta, how many cans? You said 66?
No, you might gain weight, but I'm not going to gain 10 pounds.
Oh yeah?
let's get the scale out. I can't afford to weigh 10 pounds because I have to get new clothes. That's not going to be good.
Okay, how many cans of Monster? You said 70 cans.
66.
66.
I'll say 70. I'll say 70.
No, I'll stick with 65 cans by the end of the first week of May.
60.
Okay, 60.
And how does the pool work?
Whoever gets closest.
And gets what?
A free can of Monster sponsored by the rest of the team.
So it's the end of April, or what am I saying, March the 30th. And the things to try to get accomplished this week, we made some progress. We have a game now that has audio in it, and we have some of the basic, a lot of the basic stuff is up and running. You can aim the guns now and see what you're shooting at, and the map is actually. Map is starting out pretty good. We got some stuff in from Emily and Yvonne the other day, and we're gonna start building that soon. We got some vehicle stuff in, which I'm gonna bring up real quick, a rough version of the vehicle that we're very happy with. We started working with a new guy named Dave, or not Dave, Jesus Christ, Terrence. And here is a sample of his work. It's pretty quick turnaround actually. We only spoke to him 3 or 4 days ago, and he's already produced this stuff, which is pretty high quality, honestly. So he's probably going to get to work on texturing the stuff, and we're going to have it in the game because we have a scene in our map where there's like sort of some ambushed vehicles and things. So we're pretty happy with this stuff. And we're going to put him on some other vehicle stuff too because he seems to like that. One of the things we're finding that as time is getting tighter, that we're like going to start sticking more to the areas of our efficiency. I've been doing a lot of I've been backing off some of the more dynamic stuff like particles and things like that, which is not my specialty. It's Phil's specialty, and I am doing things like all the social networking stuff. I've started to build that out, and you know, just like anything, we start with a sketch. We're like looking at some of the stats we can produce, and we just lay them out with just rough HTML to see, is this too much information? Is this not enough information? And that iteration, we're definitely positive, is way too much information. So. I'm cutting that down now. I did a bunch of work on it last night, sketching and stuff. But everything's evolving. We have a new guy probably starting on Monday with us, Byung-Ju. Basically, at this point, we're trying to sort of keep the core people working on the stuff that has the biggest impact, and we're going to try and let some of the junior folks take care of like things that are like more ancillary, but still require work. Things that you can get away with art direction more, and it's not quite as sensitive. You know, it doesn't require a lead or senior person to work on. So today, I was working on the carbine actually. The carbine's not totally done yet, but you can see it does have a lot of cool little details. Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff in there for it to reload. You've got your Picatinny rails, vents, pistol grip, front sight. And how I go about doing this is actually, I will sit down and I will work. I will look through a ton of resources in terms of imagery. Right now I'm actually modeling the other scope, which is an ACOG, which is something we're waiting, we actually ordered one, we're waiting for it to come in so we can have one to model it from. But we don't have it yet. Should have it a day or two. We did here for the rail system in particular, I found a rail that I really like by a company called Vilter, or Volter, I forgot how it's pronounced. And I went and I looked up all these pictures of the weapon, and now I modified it to make it work for what we're doing, because their rail system sits on top of an existing carbine. So you can see that the regular flat top would be there, and the flat top that we're showing is going to be here. So I actually just combined it down so it sits a little bit lower, and you can co-witness sights and things like that. These were just some different pictures I found on the internet of people selling the system. Now, the two optics we're going to be offering in the demo are going to be the EOTech, which you can see right here, and also you can also see it right here, EOTech holographic weapon sight. So you can actually see the holographic sight picture on this thing, and as you can see, as the eye goes farther away, the reticle gets bigger in it. So bang, 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 gets lost a little. When I'm really looking at it though, it doesn't get lost. I'm noticing on the camera it gets washed out against some of these light areas, but it doesn't do that in real life. So this is actually probably where it would sit in the game. Like if this was a first person view, that would probably be pretty accurate. But as you can see, the research is exhaustive, and I'm gonna get back into it right now. Okay, right now I'm working on the texture maps for this carbine. As you can see, I'm putting a checkered pattern on it right now. The reason we do that is so we can get these checkers to look as even as possible. This way, we know that the texture maps will lay out very nice and evenly, because the squares are about the same size on everything. This is what a UV looks like. These are the coordinates of these textures. So when I move these around, for instance, I'm doing the front of this pistol grip now, you can see that those squares are too small. So I have to scale this thing down a little bit here. So you can see these squares are coming about the same size, and for exact placement, I can tune it by lining up this element next to another element or next to the element that's actually matching in this case. And you continue to tune, fine tune that. And this is a lot of what actually the art side of game design is.
Sighting.
Yeah, the actual relation of the optics to
because I gotta tell you, I've been really tempted to make the neutral pose for the weapon, if this is possible, much closer to the center. The real weapon is almost always down this center axis. Right? Mm-hmm. And no matter what you do, you're going to have that problem that we just saw and what we were looking at there, where it looks like the guy's running with the gun like this, right? Yeah. That's the feeling that it's always going to get. And I'm thinking that more and more, you have the run where the stock is going to be visible up in the air, right? When the gun is down. Then you have the sort of walk where you're ready, and I'm assuming that we have it sort of this, and then you have the actual shoot pose. I kind of feel like we need to move the gun more towards the middle. That's basically...
the only reason I'm against that, Phil, is because you lose a lot of detailing on the weapon. Like, we looked at stuff like that before, and we all agreed that it wasn't like dramatic enough. You couldn't see enough of the sexiness of the thing, which is a problem.
Yeah, I recognize. I guess the question is whether it's going to be a balance. We're going to have to balance between, we're just going to have to get that hand on the stock.
Yeah, well, I mean, once you get the ACOG on there, I guess you're moving on to the hands. So that's our commitment this week. Texture map, finished 100% texture map with geometry on the rifle, on the EOTech, and at least geometry of the hands. So I've been working on our first level called presentation. So I'm gonna give you a quick little tour of our little set. Let me fire this up real quick. So, yeah, as you can see, we have our gun in game now. It's not properly positioned. We jerry-rigged it on top of some other stuff. And let me set up the camera here in a nicer way. Okay, so let me take you on a little tour here. Now, the first pass of this, we didn't have any terrain. It was all flat. I put some very rough, fast terrain in here to screw around with the heights, and as you can see, this has left a few gaps underneath some of the buildings. That's okay. I'll go back in and patch all that later. The important thing was to get the sort of first pass here up and running. Now, as you can see, there's no features on the terrain right now because, generally speaking, I don't like to do that until have gotten some good stuff going on. Now, as you can see, there's definitely some issues with the height of this guy. But I'm gonna, this is our starting point, you know. We gotta start building somewhere. And all these buildings are the same height. We will now go around and adjust the heights of buildings, build interiors, but this is a starting point for us. And then normal map only. Okay, because one of my things I want to do this week is build at least 1 to 2 houses. So maybe I'll do one. I'll just build a house and then I'll start switching out the bars. I have a vehicle design in hand, ready to go. Barricades are checked off.
But that should be said that the vehicle that is a
last minute.
That's a tertiary thing. That's a second tier goal. The vehicle.
To have a blown up vehicle in the level.
I would love to have it, but I think it's got to be. I think it's got to be second level. It's just something has to go on this list, and that's out of the priorities list.
Well, okay, so let's talk about the stuff that is done. The market stall is basically designed. The barricades are all basically designed. Some of those are even texture mapped.
Okay, barricades are in great shape. Market stalls.
Market stalls and houses are the market stalls, houses, and just basically ancillary geometry, like stuff I built, like the lights have to be textured. I mean, I just
critical issue with both market stalls and houses is going to be
the ribbing. That's going to be the biggest.
Yes, that is going to be a big problem. But the more critical issue is going to be, I think that it's where are we going to draw the line at giving individual market stalls and houses personality? You follow?
For the market stalls, I mean, well, you know what? I mean, and we were even talking about this on Friday. Maybe I need to reassess even the map and pull it back. Maybe not do it as cool as I originally planned, like in terms of having this big sprawling marketplace. Because you know what? I was thinking about this. If I do a marketplace, I have to have goods.
Right. That's exactly what I'm getting at. Because everything's going to look instanced. You know, we could make it look deserted. You know, we could make it look like some real bad shit went down here and everybody's gone and all the goods were looted and all that stuff, but we're still gonna have to put like refuse garbage and all this kind of stuff.
We changed the concept of the level from a marketplace, which, you know, I built out a couple of stalls, and it was going to require so much time and energy to texture all the stuff we were going to need to make a convincing marketplace that we decided to, or at least I decided that the map needed to be changed to something a little bit more accommodating to our current time projections. So we had, I had actually designed like 5 or 6 maps like on paper before we got into this office, and I'm modifying one of those now. I'm hopefully I got to do a little bit more work on some texturing for some basic pieces, and then I'm going to build out a rough version of the map hopefully later today or by latest Monday. Okay, so I'm working on the map today. We're rocking quite along, and I'm going to show you some things that I've found interesting personally in terms of doing level design. One of the first things that's an interesting problem is the problem of height. Now I'm going to show you some stuff here. So as you can see, this feels like a fairly normal sized room, like maybe like a, I don't know, a 12-foot high ceiling. This is actually how high the ceiling is. Actually probably closer to 15 feet here. And as you can see now, I'm in third person view. I better move forward a little bit. Hang on. There we go. So we've got an Unreal Pawn character here. But as you can see, the ceiling is quite high. Now we're building the container units for our map, which hopefully you'll see evolve very shortly. But it's just something to think about. Like the eye works very differently than the lens does, or I guess the perspective in a video game. So I'm going to show you. Well, I'm going to pause here and show you what an actual true room would be. Okay, so I've gone ahead. Well, you know, one of the things we're trying to do here, obviously, is determine our scale and our level and what we want the player to feel like, how claustrophobic or how wide the space can be, like a basic environmental space. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sort of zoom out, show you the couple of different spaces. Now I like the height in this space. This is a more realistically This space is sort of realistic height. It's a little narrow, and then this is actually the true real height of the sort of things we're modeling right now. And as you can see, this one feels kind of claustrophobic. Like it feels like you can jump up and hit the ceiling, which is not exactly what I want. That's kind of liking this one the best right now, actually. But let's check this out in third-person perspective. As you can see, very tall, pretty decently tall. God, I keep checking out these animations. And then sort of medium height. This actually would be pretty natural. And then this would be the biggest height. But this height for me, this is the natural height, and this is how I think it should look. But as again, if you go into first-person perspective, it doesn't feel right. It feels too small. It feels like very constrained. Whereas this seems to be the best of both worlds. Now I have to determine the width and the length of these things, and I can pass this information on to our architect, who will then design buildings of a size and shape that we like. One thing that's been fairly daunting is the level of quality we need to bring to the table. I mean, we're achieving it now. We're like sort of estimating that we basically have to have the map completely up and running within like 3 weeks, so we can start lighting the shit out of it, because lighting is going to be a long, involved process, and doing particle effects. I expect that to take at least 2 to 3 weeks of our remaining time. That's on top of all the social networking stuff I'm working on right now at nights. Last night I went to bed at 4 in the morning. I got up at 7 this morning. So it's exhausting, but it's rewarding. The stuff is coming along good. My map making process is a lot different than the traditional, or the guys who do this, I guess, more often than not. The progress is steady overall. We're feeling very good about where we're at and the stuff we're doing. At least I am. I think the work is good. And I think we're gonna have a pretty killer map here. It's just gonna take a lot of hours. Okay, I wanted to take a minute to talk about some of the people we're working with on this game who are professionals in the military industries. There are a lot of different kinds of contractors out there. There are truck drivers, there are security people, and communications. There are engineers who go and do this kind of work. And we've received a tremendous amount of stuff from various parties regarding different things. With Indigenous Armor, who was featured in the series, we got a lot of technical consultation from them, specifically about tactics and sort of gunfighting type craft, I guess you would say. How do you hold a gun? How do you aim it? Those kind of things. What are the kind of things you encounter in a certain situation? Like, if you go from inside to outside, you have sand in your boots or rocks in your boots, and that clanks on metal ladder. They've been, that's been their primary thing for us. For our personal body armor, we've actually worked with another company. We're working with another company called Sotec, who we're hoping to have on the show in another week or so, and they've helped us with our entire armor system and how that's being designed. For the first demonstrator piece, we're going to be showing one of their new products, hopefully, and they've been a big innovator in the body armor industry, but their information is limited to that. I mean, we've gotten, just like anybody else, you can scour the internet and find images that people have put up of dead bodies, car bombs. These things are not hard to find, honestly, if you look for them. And in some cases, that's something that some of these guys frown upon, like showing stuff like that. For example, Indigen and Sotec would never give us something like that because it's not something we would ever ask them for, honestly. The places where we found a lot of that has been, honestly, just surfing around, and then you find people. In some cases, we've had family members and things like that who've been over there, and they've actually sent us back pictures. I know someone in our family was overseas, and he was on some sort of contract. He was involved in the business side of things. He had nothing to do with the military side, but he was his escorts were a South African group. And one of the things they sent back to us was this whole ambush that had gone down, and some of the South African guys had taken pictures of it and gave it to these dudes, and they sent it to us. So you get stuff from all over the place, but these people, these are good people. You know, we're out there, you know, doing things for America, and in a place that's, you know, that's pretty terrifying. And a lot of them believe in Iraq as a future and trying to make that a better place for the people who live there. And that's a pretty noble thing. That's like any cop or firefighter or EMT or anybody who puts themselves on the line for somebody else. It takes a lot of balls to do that. And, you know, about all we could do is make a game about it, you know, or take some of that out of context, because everybody likes to play soldier when they're a kid. Cops or robbers or cowboys and Indians, whatever it is, you know. So it's important to think about that sometimes when you're playing these things or seeing a movie, that, you know, what we do is not necessarily represent reality, but take some of that context and try to make it entertaining, which honestly we've thought about that a lot in the past in terms of like what are those sort of moral ramifications of doing games like this or doing things like this in general. And it's a tough question. I mean, you can see right now that like some games out there that, for me, I consider them harmless, have caused like huge offenses with people in different countries because like a battle that takes place in their country or something like that. Which is why, I mean, honestly, it's one of the main reasons we're setting BPRE on Mars with all entirely fictitious corporate factions, because I don't want anybody to like feel that this game somehow marginalizes them or thinks less of like what their country or where they came from or their culture. And you know that's actually a question that's come up a lot, and I think, you know, we wanted to address that in on its own as well. So anyway, the game is moving along, and we hope you'll be seeing some more of it soon. Okay, take care.
We're 4 weeks away from the end of the 90-day license for Unreal.
Give it a shot so it's not distracting, and make sure it's obvious, because that's the best way to do it. Change the color a little bit will be the easiest indicator.
We've made an incredible amount of progress, I think, but we also have a lot of stuff that we have to figure out.
Yeah, we've got the rate of fire up really high right now, in case that's not apparent. God, Homer, man, you suck, dude.